The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody. This is Jay from Shopworks, and thanks for attending our webinar today, Top 5 Steps for Better Production. And I want to start by apologizing to everyone for the incorrect email that we sent out with the incorrect date on it. Unfortunately, that's a mistake I was guilty of, and I apologize if you were confused on that. This webinar is being recorded, so if you want to share with staff members, or just review yourself down the road, you'll certainly have that opportunity to do so. I noticed we have a combination of people maybe kicking the tires on Shopworks, and then also some existing customers. Everybody is welcome. If you are an existing customer, I want to let you know that this webinar is kind of more of a top level look at these top 5 steps. It's not detailed training. You're certainly welcome to stay. You'll certainly hopefully get some benefit out of it. However, if you want to drop off, that's no problem either. It is being recorded. Okay, let's get started. So we are giving away 2 $50 Amazon gift cards today, just to thank you for your time. They will be raffled off. And the way that raffle is going to work is I'm going to have 2 polls for you today. The polls take about 30 seconds each, for you to respond to it. I'm going to share the poll results with everybody in the webinar. And if you enter those polls, then you are automatically registered for the gift card giveaway. So we're giving away $100 in gift cards, two times 50, total of 100, to the people who respond to the polls, just to say thank you and thank you for your time. All right, so I'd like to start today by how you currently do production. Now, you might not apply to all of you, but when we're talking to people at a trade show or on the phone and they're interested in our product, we ask them, how do they do production? How do you currently handle your production? This is kind of the story we hear from them, and I'd say this is probably 75% of the cases, most of this applies. So the first thing, number one point there, is sales orders and all the instructions for the different departments are typically done on 3-part forms or pieces of paper. Those forms are then, made duplicates, copied, or whatever, and handed to the different departments, typically art and production at the beginning, maybe also purchasing. All this order and related how-to production information, it's handwritten. And it comes from the sales and art department. So when the art department's done with their component, that's also handwritten, and that goes to production as well. Scheduling is typically done on a spreadsheet or a magnet board. A lot of people use paper in piles or paper. I've seen paper stapled to walls or pinned to a wall, like for the day. The orders for that day are on a wall, so sort of kind of like wall spreadsheet in the physical world. Production floor employees rely on these pieces of paper. So they rely on these stacks of paperwork for how a job is to be produced, and sometimes also production scheduling. So they might just say, okay, the production manager might organize the pieces of paper and say the next one is the next order to be done. Number 6 point is how a job was actually produced is usually not recorded at all, or it's recorded on the original paperwork and then it's just filed away into a filing cabinet. Maybe somebody scans it and it goes onto a computer, but it's not really data. It's simply a piece of paper or a PDF document. And then when the order is completed, the last step is paperwork is then hand delivered to shipping. Shipping ships the order, and then that paperwork is hand delivered to accounting to finish the order. So that's kind of what we see when we talk to people. And my first poll actually revolves around this little thing. So I'm going to launch the poll. And the poll is now open, and I ask you to chime in. And remember, we are giving away 2 $50 Amazon gift cards. Anybody who answers any of these questions, we want you to be as honest as possible, but answer the question, please, and you'll be registered in that poll. So the number top one is 100% nailed it, so this sounds like your shop. Number 2 is 75%. This kind of sounds like our shop, but we're a little bit more advanced than that. Number 3 is some of it sounds like this, but we're really pretty much more organized. And then the last category is we already have good production software, production scheduling software. So I'm going to close the poll here in a couple seconds. I see about 2/3 of you have voted. I'm going to stop the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so let's close the poll and I'll share the results with you. So 11% of you, okay, that's a good percentage. 11% of you are in the nailed it category, meaning this sounds like your shop. I'm glad to hear that because a lot of times we hear that we see that number a lot higher. 21% of you said a lot of this sounds familiar. So for a third of you, this is pretty applicable. 50% of you said some of this applies to you. So now if you add all that up, that's 80% of you say this is kind of what you're doing. And then 20% of you says we already have some pretty good production processes in place, which is great. That's, again, a little bit higher percentage than we normally see. So that's good to know. So what's the problem? Why is this a problem, what I've just described here? Well, number one, you have lots of paper that's handwritten, that's slow. Also, you have opportunities to lose paper, handwriting mistakes, accountability problems because people say, oh, no, that's not what I wrote down. I meant this, those sort of problems. Number two is if you make an order change, if any order change is made to an order, it's a hassle. You have to go recall the paperwork, go get all the paperwork, make edits, and then redistribute it. Again, more opportunities for mistakes. Number three, paperwork is not consistent, meaning, based on person writing the order, they might not write up the order the same. They have handwriting mistakes. The different people have different handwriting. So that requires your production personnel kind of have to interpret an order. Oh, Jay sent me this order, so that means this, but Bob sent me another order and that means something else. So again, more opportunity for mistakes, and with the labor shortage and everything that our country is going through right now, it just slows you down. Knowing how an order was produced the last time, it's not recorded typically. And so if a customer wants to do a reorder 6 months later, it's kind of hard to recall all those details because you're relying on paper records. If you have them, then it's slow to get to them. And the fifth point here is it's hard for management to know how long a job really takes. It's hard for management to see what's going on in their shop. It's hard for management to know. And by management, I mean owners, production managers, people like that. It's just hard to understand what's really going on with your shop. So it makes it hard to properly price jobs, and employees are not held accountable for their time. So that's kind of the issues that we see there. So the first kind of solution, so I'm going to give you these top 5 steps of how to solve this problem from a Shopworks perspective. And the first thing that we're going to do, the first one that we have is better design management. So I'm going to flip over to our OnSite system here. If you've never seen our system, I'm logged into it as an administrator. I have access to all the different departments here across the top. Everything's access controlled. I'm not going to really go into all those access controls today, but I just want to let you know that you do control what employees can see, which information. And really, I'm going to navigate to this design section. And this is kind of our warehouse for storing all of the designs in the system. So if I look at View All Active, I can see every design that we have in the system. And I can see the design ID, which is like a master reference for that design, design name, what customer it's linked to. We have what design type it is. These are customizable for all your different types of embellishments. So you can see we have screen print, we have banners, we have embroidery, we have car wraps, we have trophies and awards, digital printing. We have all these different categories. You can customize that for your business. And then you have is the design done and the design status. If I click on the thumbnails, I get a kind of visual view of what the designs look like. Some of these are one location. You can see this Batman logo, which isn't a Batman logo, but that's what it's called. That has one location. Some of these have 2 locations. If I click on a location, I can see a thumbnail. This is not camera ready art. This is thumbnails. If I click on a design, you can see the design details. Now the design details are vary based on if it's screen printing, embroidery, promotional products, digital printing, DTG. Depending on the embellishment product, it's going to change. But you can see you have a location, number of colors, which affects pricing, list of the colors, and you also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 custom fields of custom variables you can store per color. Same thing on the design location. You have 5 variables, and same thing on the design. So you have a bunch of custom fields that you can use to kind of store additional information. If we're looking at, I want to go to I want to do a DTG design here. Let me just scroll down to the end. And this is a DTG design. And for DTG designs and other designs too, you can set up this kind of design style. you can make as many parameters as you want. So you can store all kinds of information, colors, you can store a file location, you can store a pre-treat option. And again, this can be customized for whatever kind of embellishment you do. If you're making trophy and awards, you can put additional instructions in here. And so what that means is by having all this in the system, the benefits are all of your design, order, and production information is stored in a central location. It's access controlled. So you're not going to lose how you did an order last time or how you're supposed to do it this time. You're not going to lose that information. It's on a computer. It's very easy to get to. And you can easily record exactly how a design was produced. Every single order, if you needed to, you could vary some of those variables on there. So you can repeat an order every time a customer reorders. And that helps keep your employees on the same page. Now, I just showed you a view where I viewed all, but obviously you have all kinds of search capabilities. So let's say a customer called me, DC Special Olympics, and I have a little stored find saved for them. I can click on that, and that brings up, this is a customer I do a lot of business with, and I can see these are all the designs we've done for them. So if they have a question about one of those designs, I can answer that question. I can go and click on it. I can tell them the status of it, send them, I can go to print, and I can send them what it looks like. There's all different functionality that you have built into this design section. Okay, the second thing we have that relates to production, the second step you can take to improve your production is production scheduling. You need to get away from the magnet boards and Excel spreadsheets. And I kind of wanted to show you how OnSite handles production scheduling. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to bring up an order for my customer that I do a lot of work with. This is a particular customer, and we're in our order entry. And you can see here we have designs associated with this order. Not one design, we have actually 4 or 5 designs in this particular order. We have 4 of them. We have a screen printing, 2 DTG designs, and an embroidery design. If I go to the line items, I can see all the different line items in this order. So this is one order, multiple items, multiple designs. If I go to production spec, I can see which items get which designs. I can also see that using our product visualizer, which is a new feature we're coming out with in later this month. And in this design visualizer, I can scroll through the designs, and the items rather, and I can see which designs apply to which items. So this is a complicated order with multiple designs, and this is just a little tool to help me see what's going on. Now, as I enter these orders into the system, there are back-end settings to the system that you would set up when you first get our system, and we would help you do that for your business. And you can change them at any time, but these are back-end settings, and these settings allow the system to automatically schedule jobs based on different parameters. For instance, if a screen printing job, it'll go to a certain kind of machine. If it's an embroidery job, it'll go to another kind of machine. There's settings for dates. So based on a date of 10/1/21, or requested ship date rather, it will scale back the production to make sure that it's done by then and add it to your schedule. And the schedule can be viewed a couple different ways. If you go over to our production department, so we have a production area, and this area can be thought of as a traditional reporting or a queue. I'm viewing something on screen. So if I say all not produced, this brings up every order in the system that I'm working on right now. Now, some people like this view, and of course I can do sorting, I can do searching. For example, if I want to see all my screen print orders, I just click on screen print. And there's, that was probably contract screen print. If I click on embroidery, I can see all my embroidery orders that we're working on right now. Again, still in report form. I can sort by production date. I could further do my finds. I could save finds. I can print out reports. That's kind of one way to do it. Another way to do it is to go by a calendar. So if I go to my calendar view, we're looking back in time at October 2021 because that's when I happen to have a lot of data in the system. But I can see different views of my calendar. This is a monthly view. I have a weekly view and a daily view. I also have a Gantt style view. I can look by event, which is kind of department, so you can see screen printing, embroidery. I can look by machine, so I can see what machine it's scheduled on. I can look by design, and I can look by company. So that's my different windows into the monthly view. I also can filter. So for example, if I just wanted to see everything, let's say in my screen printing department, that narrowed down, removed things from the window. If I want to see everything on a particular machine only, that would show me what's on that particular machine. And as I change this view, change these filters, it changes the view. If I want to see more information, I can drill down to a weekly view. I get more information. Items highlighted in red mean they're overdue. That means that I've got it scheduled on a day that's going to miss the hit date that the salesperson put in on the order. So at that point, I either need to move the production date, or I need to have the salesperson or myself let the customer know that we're going to have an approved date change. And again, as you're drilling into this weekly view, you can see you're starting to get more information. I get a quantity on each day. I get hours of production each day. That's an estimated hours of production, but it's based on formula that are entered in the system as part of your setup, and also part of the design. So the fact that this design has more colors and more quantity than this design makes it take longer. And so all that's fed into the system. And as I click on these things, you can see over here on the right, you can see more details. Setup time for this job is estimated to be 6 minutes of setup time and 3 hours of run time. That's based on that particular machine and all of the design details that are linked to this particular job. So you get a lot of details here. If I want to see, let's say I want to see a particular day, I click on my little button here, and it goes over back in my report view, and I can print reports. I can drill down, and I can see details of the order, and I can even go over to order entry. So the idea is you're looking at a calendar, you're looking at the pertinent information, and then as you need to, you can drill down to more information. If I want to go back to my calendar, I just click back on my little calendar button. I'm right where I started. So that's our production scheduling calendar. If you need to move things around, it's easy to do that. A production manager, if I wanted to move this red job, I know I can move it back a week. And now it moved from red to no red because it's now going to meet its production date. So some of the benefits of this kind of production scheduling is, number one, production is semi-automatically scheduled. It's not 100% scheduled automatically. You're going to want to have a production manager who's viewing orders that come in, seeing them on the schedule, and then massaging the schedule as needed. But the system will rough out a schedule based on settings in your system. Schedules are easy to see by managers and others, easy to manipulate. Other people who aren't allowed to manipulate it can just look at a read-only version of it. So if you want your production staff to see a schedule on screen, they can do that. And you and your staff can actually see and plan production as it being more of a reactionary process when you have paper. So now I'm going to do my second poll, and this will get you another entry into our Amazon card $50 giveaway. This one's pretty easy. How do you schedule production? And the first choice is paper. You're kind of using mostly paper. Second is you're using a magnet boards and or spreadsheets. Third option is some sort of scheduling software specifically designed for scheduling. And the last one is other. So the other is typically like some combination of those things. So just take your best guess at it. I can see about half of you have voted so far. I'm going to hold the poll open for a couple more seconds. Again, $50, a whole $50 is at stake here. So you want to get your vote in. So I'm going to close this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. 11% of you said you're 100% using paper. 22% of you said you're using magnet boards and or spreadsheets. That's about a third. Yeah, exactly a third. Half of you says you're using scheduling software, which is awesome. That's great. And mostly we see a lot less percentage than that. And 19% is another category, which I'm assuming is some sort of combination of the things that I described. I forgot to mention earlier that if you do want to ask questions, everybody is muted. But if you do have a question, at any time, type it into your question pane. There's a little question box you can type questions into, and I will reserve time at the end of our presentation to answer those questions. All right, third step we want to look at for improved production, let's go back over to OnSite, is the shop floor, what you do on your shop floor. So let's go back to our system, and what I want to show you is we're logged in as like a back end administrator type of person, but we also have what we call a touchscreen interface. It doesn't really have to be used as a touchscreen. In fact, it turns out most of our customers don't use it as a touchscreen. But I'm just going to bring it up, and you can make the system so that when someone logs in, when they log into the system, this is the default view that they get. This is what they see. And you can see we have 4 different pieces of functionality over here on the top left. It is designed to be bigger, so for fingers, if you are using a touchscreen, and just for production personnel to be able to get good visibility. Most of our customers who use this have large monitors in the back of their shop, sometimes in multiple locations, and their production staff uses this system for verifying orders and then marking orders as done and that sort of thing. It does have 4 pieces of functionality. I'm only going to show you one today. I'm showing you production today, but it's also designed for receiving for an order, receiving for a purchase order, and shipping. So all that functionality is built into the touchscreen. And again, I'm only going to be showing you production today. So pretend like I'm a guy or girl on your production floor. I have an order in my hand. Our paperwork has a barcode on it, so they can scan the barcode, or if they don't have a barcode scanner, they can just type in. So I'm just going to type in this case, the order ID. I'm going to click on the little refresh button. And what I get, I know it looks a little confusing at first, but I get an overview of what's going on with the order. Now, this is a complicated order, so I can see all the items that are being done down here. I see all the designs that are being applied to those orders right here. I see those are creating these production events. We need to print the full front. We have a DTG machine for the full front. I can see I have some screen printing here. And if I scroll down, I have some embroidery. That's all the different tasks that need to be done on this order. I can see if each of the designs is done. I can see some notes. I'm going to circle back on that. And then over here on the right, I see order information. So I see who the customer is, but most importantly, I see this order status. And this is super important because this is real-time order status as we're using the system. If this order were to change, let's say the design status is showing as partially done. If the design status was fully done, then I would see this order status change, and it would change from partial to yes, complete. Same thing for purchasing, same thing for receiving. So in the real world, I probably wouldn't be working on this order because we can see it has not been designed, the design hasn't been done, the purchasing has been done, and none of the receiving is done. So I really don't have the goods to do this order. But let's pretend like we did have it. But that's one of the uses that your users can use, is they can use this as a check to see if the order's ready to go. The other thing they're going to see, again, in real time, is work order. This is showing me if quantities have changed. Let's say you printed out the paperwork and gave it to them. And a lot of our customers who are not ready to go 100% digital in their production floor, they use a hybrid system. And that system is they give their production people a one-page kind of a traveler ticket that has an order ID, a barcode on it, and some of the order information. And that's what they simply use that to pull up the order in the system. And then when they're looking at the order in the system, they're going to get their real-time results. So let's say the customer added something on. I would see that here where I'm not going to see it on paperwork. So doing it digitally and doing it real time is a better method of doing it. Now there's other functionality the user can do in here. If they're curious about one of these designs, they want to see more details, they can click on, let's say I'm on a DTG machine, and I can click on the this particular design, and I see all of the design details over here on the right. And it also shows me on this particular order which items on the order are getting that design. Only 3 shirts are getting that design. So I can see that. I can see all of the production details. I can see a thumbnail image of the item, and I can click the image. If I need a bigger image, I can see that. This one's not bigger, so it doesn't show it to me, but for a bigger pixel size, I would see that. I can go back to my order overview, or I could just scroll through designs here if I want to see each design. So I can see each design here, what it looks like, and which items it applies to. So the production person is able to get a tremendous amount of information. Another thing that we're adding in our update that's coming out later this month is the ability to load that design from somewhere on your network. So if you're a DTG shop, if you're somebody who's on an embroidery machine, and you just want to load that digital artwork, load that computer file into your production machine, as long as your production machine can use OnSite, it's Windows or Mac based, and it's on your network, I could actually load this design right onto the production machine from this interface. So that's a new feature available in our next upgrade. Another thing I can do on the order is when I'm done with the order, I can enter quantities. Now, I wouldn't want to do this until all the production events are done. So let's say I've done my DTG thing and I want to mark it as being done. I simply click on it as being done. Oops, sorry, I'm doing something wrong here. Update production status, and I'm going to mark this item as being done. I'm doing something wrong here, so I apologize. Maybe I have to click on the event. Oh, it did. I was doing it correctly. I just didn't wait for it to update. Sorry about that. So now, if you look, that particular event's done, and now the production status has gone from not done at all to partially done. The reason why it's partially and not fully done is because we have multiple kinds of production that have to be done on this order. Not until all of these kinds of production are done will this be done. If I was doing one kind of production and I only had one production event and I clicked on that being done and it was yes, then the entire order would be done as well. So again, this is real time being updated for everybody in your system. So if somebody in customer service had a question about this order, they don't have to come talk to production. They can, as long as your production staff is entering the data real time, they are good to go. They'll have that information in the system. They can also, from this interface, they can mark quantities being done. So if they wanted to, they could say, okay, I had 1 here, we did 3 here. And notice as I'm doing this, it's changing the color. Red is not done, yellow is partial. And this particular item, all 4 were done. On the second item, that was done as well. So I can click on OK. And I'll do it with requested quantities, and it fills it in as being completed. So again, we have part of the quantities have been entered as being done. Let's see, I'm just trying to think of any other functionality I missed here. Oh, logging of time. That's another important thing. So the other thing that production staff do, and this is optional, you don't have to do this, but most of our customers are doing this who are using the touchscreen interface, is you have a production log. So on this production log, before my press operator, in this case DTG operator, starts the job, well, we're actually on a screen printing. We're on a screen printing, but I can change it right now. I could change it to the actual machine that I'm on. I could say I'm setting up the press, and I can say what time I started and what time I stopped, or I could just put in an amount of hours. So let's just say I did 30 minutes on this. So I've set up half an hour on the machine, and now I'm ready to run it. So I'm going to go ahead and start my printing, and maybe now I stamp my time, and I come back later and I stamp it again. I'm obviously fudging this. And we logged an hour of production time, and then we had to break down the press, and that took us another another 30 minutes of time. So we're filling out a production log throughout the day as we're working on jobs, and that's all going to feed into your back end, and I'll show you that in a little while, the production logs where a manager would see it. But this is what your production staff is doing throughout the day. So shop floor tools, what are the benefits of that? Well, your floor staff have easy access to real-time order information. So not having to guess if there were order changes, not having to check with anybody. It's all real-time. We've mentioned that a couple times in here. And you as an owner or a manager get time accountability and job costing for both production and art staff. So there's a lot of benefits there. You're eliminating paper, you're eliminating mistakes in the production of your orders. So that's number 3, shop floor tools and accountability. I'd like to go to number 4, which is better communication between departments. And we're going to look at our same order. So I'm going to go back to my back end system, not the touchscreen. And I'm going to look at my order. Let's look at all of our Special Olympics orders. And this is the order 5538, the same one I showed you before. What I didn't show you before is on the order, there's a notes section. And in this notes section, I can add notes. So I'm going to add a note, and I can say who I want that note to go to. In this time, it's production. I want this note to go to production, and I'm going to put whatever I want my note to be here. So be careful on the blue color, as customer complained last time not done properly. Okay, I'm going to save that note, and that note is going to appear on computer screens. It's also going to appear on paperwork. So if I were to print out the paperwork, this paperwork would have the notes on it. Again, we're favoring more of a uh, digital real-time online type approach, but it does appear on paperwork as well. And so you can see here when the production person is looking at the notes, when they're looking at the order overview rather, they will get the notes to production. So they can see all the different notes to production and check those. They can also make notes themselves. So if they wanted to make a note on an order, they're going to add, and they would type in whatever they want their note to be. Now, obviously, you're going to have to be a little cautious in how you use these notes. They're not time-sensitive notes, meaning it's not sending someone an email. It will pop up on computer screens if you have that enabled when they're using the system, but it's not going to Slack the person, although that integration is coming soon as well. Slack integration is coming soon, but we don't have that yet. And it's not going to send them an email. So these are notes that are attached to the order, in this case, in the system, will pop up on the screen as users are using the system, but it's not a quote notification. So it's not going to send them an email or a Slack yet. All right. So that's one way of better communication. Another way of better communication is order proofing. So our system has the capability. We have another product called Proof Stuff. Proof Stuff can be linked to your on-site system, and it is a way to send proofs to your customers and manage those proofs. So you could build into your procedures that you want the person doing production to check the proofs, the customer proof, before they proceed to production. So if I wanted to do that, I just click on this little Proof Stuff icon. That's this little green check mark, and I can see we have a proof that was approved. I'm going to click on our little world icon. That's going to bring up a web browser, and that web browser is going to show me that Francois approved this proof. I have a date, time, and date stamp. I have a signature. I have all of this is all customizable. Obviously, your logo would be up here. Source logo is my fictional company, but that would be your logo. Proof instructions, proof items. I have exactly what the customer approved. They approved this. They declined this. I can download these images or zoom in on what they approved. So you have a lot of functionality here, and this just closes the loop between sales, customer, and production. And this is a great way for not only to get the customer's approval, but it's just one more quality check that you can do before you actually produce a job. Better communication between sales, customer, and your production staff. So that's our number 4, better communication between departments. And of course, the benefits there are pretty drastic. Less paper to get the job done. We're not pushing paper. Less time to get the job done. Instead of somebody having a question on it and going to have to talk to someone, more notes are on an order, easily visible, easy to get to. And this helps with less mistakes and better accountability. And the accountability is huge because in a paper environment, it's very easy for production staff or even sales staff to say, I didn't mean that. I didn't put that in there. I thought he knew that, those sort of things. When you have a more locked down system like OnSite, where it's tracking your production in a more accountable fashion, and even what the customer said versus what you actually produced, you're closing the loop on that accountability. You're making your system more accountable to employees and to customers. And that's a big benefit to your company. And let's look at our last 5th step, and then I'll start taking questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to start asking them. And that's management analytics, easy management analytics. So if you're working in a paper world or in an Excel world, analytics are difficult to get. And what I mean by analytics is how many orders did we produce last month? How many units did we produce last month? How profitable were we last month on a job-by-job basis? If you're using paper and spreadsheets, that information is almost impossible to get. It's very difficult to get without extra work if you're using an accounting package like QuickBooks or something like that. And one of the beauties of OnSite is that because it's completely integrated, OnSite is integrated with order entry, is integrated with production. all these factors feed into one spot, and it makes the analytics portion of it very simple. So let's look at some common things you run into on a daily basis as an owner or a manager. If I'm an owner and I want to know what jobs are we working on right now, I simply go over to production, go back out to my main menu, show me everything that hasn't been produced. I have 155 orders we're working on right now. I can sort that by order type, so I know if these are screen printing, embroidery, promotional products, digital printing, whatever embellishment you do, trophies and awards, that will be in there. If I want to know more details, I can click on status and I can see the status of all those orders. Again, this is real-time information. So very quickly you can get information. Let's say I want to look at more like job costing information. I want to see what we did last month. Okay, so I'm going to go over to sales analysis. I'm going to click on last month, and that's going to bring up all my orders I completed last month. I can click on, I see the total dollars, but I want to see job costing. And so job costing is actually capturing expenses. So remember, as production staff, we're entering those production logs. All that information is being fed into the order, and it's calculating how much profit and loss you're making on a per order basis. And this is not an estimate. It's based on real information that you're getting in the system. Real cost based on purchasing, real cost based on production. Obviously people have to fill out their production logs. You can add estimates to it if you want, to the job costing portion, but it can be can be as accurate as you want it to be. If I want more details on a job, why did we lose money on that job? There's got to be a reason. Our costs were 10 grand and our revenue was only 4 grand. Sounds like there were some mistakes on the order. You can drill down into it, find out more details. So as a business owner, as a manager, you can get a lot more information at your fingertips. I'm just giving you a couple examples. This concept that I'm trying to teach you or show you here is true with our entire system. So if I go back over to production, we have production logs. Now, again, this is a area where you're only going to look at it by manager, maybe by a manager. So I can go in here and I can see logs are created by machine on each individual day. And I can drill into that day, MNR6 color, and I can see what order number, what date and times, quantity made, defects, times worked on those jobs. And then you can roll that into production logs. And then you can start doing analyses of, okay, well, they logged 40 hours this week. I have an automatic team. A team is a combination of people. So let's say that there's 3 people in that team, but they only did 80 hours of actual production. So what was happening the other 40 hours or whatever the numbers are. So you just have tools by having a system that's real time and 100% integrated. You have a lot more tools that enable you to gather information. And again, I'm just showing you a couple examples. So step 5, what are the benefits of that? Well, obviously managers can see what's happening and can plan accordingly, especially when it comes to scheduling, what's happened, profitability, accountability, all those things. And owners have great, it says viability, it should read visibility into their business whenever they want it. And really, it's not just managers and owners, anybody you give access to. So whoever needs access and needs that visibility has it. All right, so I'm opening the floor for questions. I'm gonna talk a little bit more here about. We've already kind of talked about the benefits of OnSite. OnSite is the product I showed you today. A little bit about Shopworks, the company. Very quickly, I just want to let you know we've been in business 25 years. We have over 1,200 customers, and our software is designed specifically for our industry, embellished products. We've been doing this for a long time. We have a very talented staff, and all of our product is designed, supported, and serviced in the United States. As far as OnSite goes, some of our web products, Proof Stuff and Manage Orders, we do outsource some of the development for that, and that's overseas. But as far as OnSite, and the design of all of our products is done in-house in the United States, and all of our support is done from there as well. We're always welcome to do a demo for you. We have 3 products: OnSite, Manage Orders, and Proof Stuff. OnSite is the product I showed you today. That's our core product. If you'd like a demo of that product, we're happy to set that up for you. You can just contact us on our website, shopworks.com. You can send me an email, and we're a very low pressure company. So we're not a hard sell type company. We will show you our product. We will hope it's a good fit for you. We will be honest with you. If we don't think it's a good fit, we'll tell you. If we do think it's a good fit, we'll tell you as well. And hopefully there's a good fit between us, and you would want to proceed forward. But that's how we kind of approach business. So I see a couple questions have come in. I'm going to start answering those, and feel free to ask more. So the first question is from Eric, and he asks, if we don't currently have a production manager, who would be a good person to take that on? Sales, shipping or receiving, or a production team? That's a great question. This is a challenge that smaller shops have, where and I had it. I used to own a shop myself, and I went through those growing pains myself. Shopworks and OnSite can help get you through those growing pains. But it's a great question, and the answer is going to really depend on your organization. But typically, I would look to a production lead, somebody who's a lead, trustworthy person in your production staff who can do that. It really doesn't take a lot of time during the day. It's not a huge eating of time for a production manager on the scheduling portion of it. So I would look for a production lead, and then maybe an owner oversees it. Or if you don't have somebody you're comfortable with in production, I would have a business owner maybe do it. I would not have a salesperson do it, and that's nothing against salespeople. They're awesome, and they're the lifeblood of our business. But salespeople are really not linked to production, and their goal is to get orders in and out as quick as possible. So I would kind of avoid the salesperson really for the most part. But so that's kind of my thought on it. You might have somebody else in another department who might be okay with it, but I would look to production ownership first, and then fan out from there if I needed to. The next question is from Mira, and the question is, our production staff would like to separate POs by design, heat press, embroidery, screen print. Would the design type benefit them by having less confusion when the work order is printed? Absolutely. So if you do multiple types of production, our system is designed for that. Our system is not designed to just do one type of production. Our design types have different, each design type has a embellishment link to it. So if you go to designs, you can see there's a design type, and you decide how you want to color code them or what icon you want to use. So for us, red means screen print, blue means embroidery, gray means DTG, but you can make that whatever you want, and you can make whatever embellishment types you want. So we have it at the design type level, and we also have it at the order type level. Now, you don't have to use the order type, because as I showed you before, I actually showed you a DTG order type that had multiple designs on it that were different. One was screen printing, one was embroidery. So you might have an order type called combo, and that means there's multiple types of embellishment on it. That's what a lot of our customers do. They would have, so this means screen print means it's a screen print only order. This is embroidery, it means embroidery only. And they would have a combo type order, and that combo type order would mean that it could have multiple types of embellishment on it. That's how most of our customers use it. But our system is very configurable. You can set it up different ways, and that's one of the things we do during our onboarding. When you start using our system, we don't just let you set it all up yourself. You certainly are welcome to do that, but we help you. We have lots of resources to help you set up our system specifically for your business, because every business is a little bit different. Your embellishment types are a little bit different. How you process orders is different, and so that's part of the service that we offer at no additional cost when you purchase or rent our system. Actually, you can only rent it. So when you rent our system, that's one of the services you get through our onboarding, is we help you set up the system for your business. Eli asks, are you able to split one order onto two machines? And the answer is absolutely. So if we go to our DCSO orders, Special Olympics, that was actually one of my customers back in the day when I was ran my screen printing and embroidery and promotional products business. That was my first big customer, was the DC Special Olympics. So they kind of have a special spot in my heart when I do these demos. So if we go to the production view of this order, there's where I get those production notes popping up at me. But I'm going to dismiss those. And I can see here, I actually have not only different machines, I have different embellishment types. So I have embroidery on a left chest, I have screen printing on a full front, and then I have 3 different DTGs, full front, full back, and left chest, on different quantities. This is a complicated order. So yes, you can have multiple garments, multiple items, multiple embellishment methods, multiple machines. All of those things you can have. Um, so yes, you're not limited as to far as how many machines, how many departments, how many design types. There's not limits on those sort of things. So hopefully that answers your question there, Eli. All right. I'm waiting for some more to come in. I see another one. Mike has a question. Uh, Mike asks a good question. On the analysis tab, is it possible to utilize an ink estimator? So Mike wants to capture ink costs, and of course, you're not going to measure out on an order, on each order. Nobody's going to take time to measure on an order, and it would be ridiculous to do so, how much ink you used. Yeah, there are ways to cost average that. There's ways to do that. It's a little bit more, there's a little bit more, it's not really that difficult to do, but I am not an expert at setting up the system. I know that sounds crazy, but we have another guy at our office, Roy, who would be better able to advise you on how to do that. But it is doable. I'm just not going to be able to show you in the demo because I'd have to finagle with the system for a while just because I'm not as familiar with it. Roy's kind of our application specialist, and he's the guy that you deal with when you're doing onboarding. So he's better at this than I am, even though I'm the president of the company. I'm off doing other things, and Roy is more of a trainer than I am. So I apologize for not giving you an exact answer and showing you, but you definitely can do that so that you would capture what Mike's looking for is you want to capture when you're looking at this job costing. Let's go look at one of these items. Let's go look at one of these orders. So we capture all these different costs on an order: revenue, product. You can see here royalties. This has a big royalties on it. In this other category, you can capture ink costs. There's a way to average that on an order. All right. I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to say it's last call for questions. Again, if just to reiterate again, everybody who participated in the polls, I really appreciate it. We will be distributing those gift cards tomorrow to the two winners. We're just going to do a raffle. Everybody, if you entered in did both the polls, you get same as if you did one poll. Anybody who enters a poll gets one entry, and we're going to pick out the two winners tomorrow, and you'll be notified. But everybody else, I appreciate your time. Again, this will be recorded. It's on our YouTube channel. That's at Shopworks with an X software. If you're on YouTube, you just search on SHOPWORX software. Will come up, and we have all kinds of videos on there. And beginning tomorrow, this one will be on there as well. So thanks for everybody's time. Have a great week. And if you're a Shopworks customer, thank you for your business. We'll talk to you later.